frame by frame. Yeah. Create your own little line.
Still do it frame by frame. Yeah. So, anyways.
Welcome back to the Regular Dad podcast, episode number, I don't know. We're continuing on with part 2 of a 4-part series.
That's right.
Letting go of stuff. I still don't sound great. If any of you are tracking, you know that I should have had a second surgery, which I have. Mm-hmm. I've had that. It's just now we're dealing with, just go back to the last episode and you can figure it out. I'm not going to explain it again.
We're just healing.
Yeah, it actually is part of the healing process. Like, oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay, well, that's what I feel like anyway. But
you're so much harder on it than anyone else is, I think. You just am like, yeah.
Yeah, but it's been going on since June.
Yeah. So you're ready for it to be over, I guess.
Yeah. I'm.
Yeah.
So, social media profile. This is a really, really cool profile. I don't know if you've ever seen anything. It's on Instagram. I didn't look for it anywhere else, but you can see it at Aiden Creates, Aiden Creates. He creates these super, super small models of this highly detailed, like maybe it's like you'd see a picture of an abandoned home or something, and you'd see a room and it's got just like debris and stuff everywhere, and kind of slowly Mother Nature has started to take back over, and he will put that
makes a diorama.
It's just
wow, that's crazy.
And the attention to detail is just
what materials are you?
Well, all kinds.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's just really cool.
Wow.
So I follow him, and I've just seen some of his stuff. It's just an amazing amount of creativity, and it's just nice to. I like seeing what people can do.
Yeah.
In the creative thing, like the guy that used to build sculptures inside of grains of rice. He would carve caricatures.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. High-powered magnifying glasses and super small tools.
Wow.
And he'd sit there and, you're like, what? It was rice. It was a grain of rice. He had grains of rice that he had notched out, like there were holes in them.
That's amazing.
It was, absolutely. That's what.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I feel like you'd probably have to make your own tools to do that stuff.
I don't know.
Wow.
But anyway, so check him out. Jimmy.
Yes. So
part 2.
Part 2 of our
Get rid of the crap.
Well, in this case,
sorry, Mom.
Probably don't want to say it that way because we're talking about letting go of people.
Next time on a very special episode of The Regular Dad.
So, okay. So on this part 2 of our series on letting go.
This ought to be fun.
I think that there's a tendency for us as we get older, and social media, I think, makes it easier for us to think we can do this.
Yes. Social media makes everything worse.
It really does.
As we put out all of this on social media, but it's our attempt to balance the scales.
That's right. We're just using it.
What are you doing? I love you.
No, I think that we can have a tendency to hold on to people, like friends and family, in an unhealthy manner. I don't know what there's a statistic out there that says, what is it? The average guy, I think, can have 5 close friends or something like that.
Yeah.
And yet,
I thought it was 3, but
is it 3?
Still, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. It's something very small.
If it's 3, you're still on my list.
Good.
I won't name the others so no one gets their feelings hurt.
And you're on mine. This moment has been.
Okay.
Anyways. So,
we need some romantic music here.
Yeah, really, we do. I'm sure Rachel can throw that in.
I'm sure.
She'll probably clip
It'll have to be royalty free because I don't understand the complete process of getting an RIA license.
It's expensive.
Yeah, nor do I. It's like $2,500 a year. I think it is. That's like what radio stations have.
Yeah, if you guys would start watching more and subscribing, maybe we could afford that.
Just share this.
Yeah,
it's not gonna.
Yeah.
No one's gonna judge you if you share.
They judge us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You people will go, oh, thank you for sharing that. I really like that. Or why did you share that? And go, I just wanted you to see how stupid these guys are. It doesn't matter.
It's
just
fine.
do it.
Clip it and edit it yourself.
Yeah.
Anyways, so, I have a tendency to feel like if I become close friends with someone, especially if I'm close friends, but really this is true for anything. Like I think a good example for me is I used to do a lot of gaming.
Yeah.
I still love video games, and but when I was an airline pilot, I would carry an Xbox with me.
Yeah.
On the overnights, and I would play a game that was a community-based game, massively multiplayer, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I spent.
So you just had to hook up to the hotel
there is a
whatever.
website that you can go to find the time across all of your different accounts that you've spent on this game.
Oh gosh.
Between the two versions of the game, which some of you probably know what I'm talking about, 3,000 hours. So
that's more than you work in a year.
But most of that was spent in hotel rooms, you know.
Yeah.
So it was better than other things that could be happening on the overnights. So anyways,
sorry, Mom.
Yeah. So but the guys
also cheers to the industry, I guess.
Guys that I became friends with, because honestly that was one of the draws of that particular game, and I think any of these social based games is you become good friends with these folks. Like there is a level of adversity that happens as you're trying to figure some new content out or whatever that you all go through together, and the teamwork. Yeah. And then, you know, we were all dads. We all met in a clan that was dads. Yeah. And so there was some common ground there, and it was really good.
They addressed this concept in what was the Anxious Generation.
Yeah.
They talked about the feeling. It's not a complete feeling, but there is a satiation of interacting with others.
Yes.
Because but all these people are online, but it's virtual.
Yeah. Yeah. You know? And dude, I had some very deep conversations. Like we would finish some content, or even during the time we were like playing the game, if it wasn't super intense content that required a lot of communication. You know, we'd talk all the stuff, politics, religion, you know, relationships, things like that. Some of us went through some really tough times during that, 5 or 6 years that I was playing that game. I don't talk to any of those people anymore.
Sure.
And it's not because I don't like them. I actually miss them. Like we were good friends. But that season in my life kind of ended, you know? And we're friends on Facebook, but I don't even see most of them, whatever it is, the algorithm, whatever. We don't really interact on Facebook.
Sure. No.
And I've had to come to terms with that.
Yeah.
You know, that's okay.
It's almost like people that you work with. You work around people, so you get to know and you know elements of their job, and you might know their kids a little bit, but in most cases, it's a superficial thing.
Yeah.
It's not the people that you're in real community with.
I mean, I think
like I know what's going on in your family,
right?
You and Kim, I know the kids, what they're good at, what they're not good at.
Right.
Yeah. Same for me. Where your struggles are. And
you have to, I
we're
think,
in the weeds, man.
I think there's a difference between there has to cross the line to where you have like a close friendship that is one, because I do think there's friendships that we need to maintain, that for life.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of friends that I want to maintain, but you have to make a determination and a decision to do that.
Yeah. Yes.
And you can't do that with everyone.
No.
And so it's like it's unhealthy to try to like this has caused me anxiety. That's why I put it on the list, because I'm like, when I start losing touch with, like when we moved here from Salt Lake City, we were connected to all kinds of folks in Salt Lake when we moved here. And there's just no way to maintain that level of friendship with those people. And it's especially hard when people start, when you feel the loss and they feel the loss and you're grieving that. There's kind of a process that you go through of grieving that as you transition into a new place and new proximity with new people. You have to, that's just part of life.
So, are you an extrovert, or are you introverted? Where do you fall?
My wife is going to chuckle because I'm kind of proud of this. Every time I take a Myers-Briggs test, the extrovert introvert is like right down the middle.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of weird.
Once I started answering those questions honestly, I was an introvert, which made a whole lot more sense. But I thought that was the wrong answer.
If I was going to answer the way I feel, most of the time it would be introvert. Okay. I have had times where I have felt that need for connection, because I've been out like flying by myself or whatever, and I'm just like, dude, I just need to be around people. Yeah. And Kim's like, Okay, that's weird because most of the time I tend towards the introvert side. Yeah.
So part of like the depression journey, different things that I've been doing. Okay, I've learned I need to be in relationship with people. Now, not everyone, sit here and know all the business or anything, but just talking to people.
Yeah.
I make a huge point to do that on Sunday mornings,
Right.
Because I'm there for several hours, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I hadn't seen them since last week, and just that connection, just the process of connecting to another human and not living inside of myself. Now, do I talk to these people during the week? No, some, yeah, but
Right.
most, no. Most of the people I talk to on a Sunday, I only talk to them, on the next Sunday or whatever
Right.
event we're having or whatever. But it's taxing because, so I need to recharge, but I'll recharge and do that alone.
Yeah.
I can go sit in the deer blind by myself.
Yeah.
I'll, believe it or not, actually go to the gym, put in my little earbuds and I'm alone. There's other people around, but I'm in my own little world. That helps. But yeah, once I acknowledged that, but it also explained why I didn't really attach to people, well. And, so the friends that I had, it was a very, very deep friendship,
Yeah.
but I didn't have tons of people. Oh, I'm hanging out with this person. I'm hanging out with, no. If I'm hanging out with you, we are friends. Okay. I'm just not a casual hangouter person.
Yeah.
Occasionally, like my life insurance agent. I've never met him. We've only talked on the phone. He's like, yeah, we should go get lunch. I'm like, oh no, I don't know you, dude.
Yeah.
And he's just, salesman doing what he does. But there are people that are like, yeah, cool. Let's go.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah. I think,
and look, if you asked me to lunch and I say, I sorry, but
yeah.
no, I don't know. It's just reserved.
Yeah. And I think,
so I go to lunch with the same people all the time.
I think there are personality differences to be certain. Cause I tend to be the same way. Like if I tend to have a group of folks that I really, I would say I've had different terms for it over the years. Some of them involve an expletive, but, I have a group of people that I can be completely myself around.
Sorry, Mom, mentally.
And I feel comfortable just being who I am.
Right.
And I always have that group of people. But I think there's personality differences. I think extroverts, it's true. Like my wife is an extrovert and she just gets energy, just like my youngest, just like Steven. Like she just gets energy from social interaction. But there is an aspect of where we try to hold on to friendship, and maybe we don't admit this as much as, I don't know. I don't know.
Probably.
I think where you might see this more with dads is probably in family. Mm-hmm. So, I left Oregon when I was 18 and I have never been back to live.
Yeah.
God's taken me all over this country and I've never gotten back to the Pacific Northwest. And it's difficult to accept that, the picture I had in my head of what it would look like with my family as I got married and had kids is not the picture that I have right now.
Yeah.
It's not the picture. But
Same, dude.
But that's not wrong.
No.
And so there's a sense, I think the word speaks to this when it talks about the leave and cleave thing. Mm-hmm. That those verses get bandied about a lot, but I think overall there's like this concept that God is acknowledging that there is a breaking that goes on. There's a splitting that goes on of families, just like kind of there's a splitting that goes on of cells. And then just like families, friends, same thing, that kind of, okay, now I'm over here and I have these friends, right? And maybe I'm not in contact with family as much and talking to them as much. I think there is a sense of, we need to stay in touch, but this sense of obligation that we feel sometimes because we're like men of our word, I think that can generate anxiety and that can generate unhealthy things going on inside of us, especially like shame, anything that's like, oh man, I'm a man of my word and I'm not keeping in touch with this person who like was there for me 10 years ago when I really needed them and I feel obligated to like be their friend still. It's like, no, we move in and out of these seasons with people, and it's okay to like
it is
let those relationships go or let them decrease so these relationships over here can increase. That's okay.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I'm trying to figure out what's going on weather-wise. I'm getting alerts.
Oh.
We've got stuff off to our west, and it's getting here.
Okay.
So I'm just,
maybe I'm not working on the gate today.
I don't think you're gonna.
No, hey, I got a rain suit out there.
Gosh. No, this is all right. No, you'll be okay until later. So that stuff's to the south, but it is, that's. But it's.
Hey man, I punched through it yesterday flying the airplane over from Shreveport.
Gosh.
So got a little window. We got through. Me and 2 other airplanes got into Tyler, so that was good.
Did you drop your passengers off?
I had 1 passenger on board. We
okay.
dropped 6 in Shreveport and then brought 1 back to Tyler.
Well, yeah. What didn't you have? You had 1. I picked you up, but you from Greg. But it was all right. Y'all gonna have to hold on because we're doing some pilot stuff. To get on the ground.
I was. Yeah. There've been a few of those.
Yeah. Things that.
Whenever I turn around and tell them to buckle up, it's like, okay.
All right, y'all grab a helmet and yeah. So, all right. Well, no, okay. So we're good there.
Yeah.
So, man, I have, unfortunately, and I guess unfortunately, it's part of life, and you have to know how to deal with that. Not every relationship that you have is going to be in for the long haul.
Exactly. Yeah.
And just because it's not doesn't mean that there's a parting of the ways. There could be. Okay?
Right.
But let's just say in natural life circumstances now, and he's seen some episodes of this, but my best friend in high school, growing up in college, I had two, it was 3 buddies.
Yeah.
It was my buddy Jody and buddy Mason. All right. Well, we were together all the time. Well, once Mason, he went off to school right away. I was still here local at well over yonder, Berkeley on the blacktop. Yeah.
Every time you call it that.
Cornell on the corner.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, man. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it. But Jody and I mean, every weekend. And we might get together every weekend. I mean, every weekend. Mm-hmm. I moved off for a little while. I came back. This is post-divorce that we talked about on this. And so I started going to school. I wound up, because I was living with my parents, but I was also, Jody and I were hanging out so much, I'd go days, a couple of weeks at a time, and I'm staying at his house.
Really?
Why not? I'm still got to drive in and go to school, right. So it's like, whatever,
Yeah.
But it just kind of gave a sense of, well, I'm not back with my parents,
Yeah.
But we were like hard, fast friends. Now, I can call him. I could call him right now and say, dude, I'm in a bind. He's going to drop whatever he's doing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. But once he kind of got situated and start raising kids, and we're not in the same district, we're not too far from each other, but it's just, we weren't around the same people. So there's been no decrease in quality. I mean, frequency relationship. We're still just as good of friends, but
proximity matters, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I don't have some type of business need, because he does most of the banking
right.
that I need, and so that kind of keeps that connection. But outside of that, if we weren't doing that, man, it would be a whole lot lower, just because we have our lives.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to it, but I mean, we can't go run the roads like we used to. We got a wife and kids, and you got to do that stuff. And their kids have friends, and now his daughter's graduated, and so it's weird, for me, because I remember when Dina and I were at their house when they announced that they were pregnant. Hey, y'all come over for dinner.
That's awesome.
And now she's graduated. Yeah. It's like, God, I'm old, which is true, but that happens.
Not as old as I am.
Well, but it's not, so it's not a reflection on either one of us. We didn't have like some.
There's no falling out. There's there's nothing.
No, not at all. And so I sit here and think about it a lot. I'm like, I kind of get sad, but I've had a very, very rich and good life. You can't have all the relationships and all the things. Right. But if there was a guy that I knew that I could be friends with without having to be active friends with all the time, guarantee you, I know, because it gets proven, a couple times a month.
And those relationships, honestly,
Jody. Yeah.
Those relationships are awesome. The ones that you can just, like, my accountant,
Yeah.
We still have the same accountant. He's in Salt Lake.
Yep.
He's a great guy. Shout out to Mark Fankhauser.
There you go.
And I just have not felt the need to. We've even had a conversation like, if you wanted to move to someone else there local, I was like,
Digital
no, man,
world,
this is
baby.
great.
It don't matter.
You know our situation, and we joke about it. We talk like once a year.
Yeah.
Like, and we talk for like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
He's a car guy. I'm a car guy. He's usually I think he's got a Porsche right now. So
Yep.
like I kind of
There you go.
vicariously
Yeah,
live
yeah.
through Mark,
Yeah.
and like, and he's got, our kids are somewhat the same age, going through some of the same stuff. We catch up.
Right.
It's great.
Right.
He does my taxes. Everything's fine. We interact for like maybe a couple of weeks. And then it's like, all right, man, I'll talk to you next year.
Yeah.
And it's great.
That's how it is with Mason, because
Yeah.
he went off and then he was in med school. You understand what that's like. You don't, they don't see the light of day. Mason
I
and
saw
went,
the back end of that journey with my wife, and it was like, dude,
we went,
So
I think for the longest time we went without speaking was nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
And
You're
now
just head down
we'll talk.
trying to
Yeah,
make it.
we'll talk maybe once a quarter, a little text message here or there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll definitely talk at least once a year.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's just, but anytime, we had a thing in Austin last year, and I was down there for, with Banks. And then we got down there and, hey, man, what you do? Well, we got together and had dinner with his wife and hanging out with his kids. And it was just kind of like an extension of where it had always been.
Right.
But there's 20 years have gone by, plus goals. but I mean, this is a dude I met when I was like 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And
honestly,
Jody too. We
what
met
a treasure
we're all at the same church.
that you can do that. Those relationships, in some ways, I actually love more than the ones that I've decided and talked about intention and maintaining close ties and like everything, because those relationships are so nice to just like you catch up.
Yep.
Hey man, everything's good. Yeah, man, it's been good. Here's some things I've been going through. Here's some things I've learned. Let's rub shoulders a little bit. And all right, I love you, bro. We'll see you. We'll see you next time. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I think sometimes we assume in those relationships, it's easy for us to assume that something has gone wrong when it's just it's just what happens. It's a good thing.
So, And so we've talked about that, my buddy Brad is another great example, because we were, real top buddies in college. And then before we had kids, I mean, we were out there at least once a month, going out to the Metroplex and hanging out. We'd be out there all weekend. Wives are, great friends, and it's good. Now it's much more of a struggle, but again, now it's teenage parents. He's one of each, and so they're coming into that. We're dual teenagers. They're just active, know? And there's just a lot of stuff going on. But we get to spend a lot of time together, because one, we do this, but we're in church together, so that's an extension.
And we
of
serve
community.
in church together.
And then our wives are good friends, and our kids are good friends. So there's just we're close proximity wise, and the facets of our life have a lot of overlap. Yeah. So
that's really a good point. Yeah.
So now those are the letting go and not feeling about it. It's the good scenario. But what happens when someone lights you up and y'all lock horns and y'all don't see eye to eye? And I've had that happen, a couple of times, and we're not friends anymore. There was, that happened with a kind of a church scenario, and there's been some rebuilding, so it's like stable. Yeah. Okay. But it's not like the thriving thing that it was. And that's okay, because there's seasons, and both of us say there was a time.
Yeah. And there's there's boundaries too, right?
Yep,
Sometimes if you have friends who are, I don't know. I mean, maybe they're not as healthy or on the journey to health that you are mentally and whatever. It's maybe time to draw some different boundaries, I mean, we talk about this with, I'm sure I've never been in recovery, but I know in the recovery community, you talk about that, like who your friends are. Like, let's make decisions and not be with the people that are associated with that particular addiction, you know, and that's definitely somewhere where you have to let go of those people,
So I have another relationship, and it is what I hope is at least on pause. but being what it is, I mean, whatever. It's not. It's no longer active where once upon a time it was certainly thriving. And there was a disagreement, and there was just we never got on the other side of it, and I hate it, man.
Yeah.
I hate it, and it
Me too. I hate
pains me.
those situations are just rough.
But I don't want to say it is what it is because that sounds like I'm being dismissive, but there's just only so much that can be done,
right?
There, and there's a lot, but I think I don't want to say that that's healthy, but the silver lining is you value that and you feel the loss.
Yeah. There's got to be there will be grief there for sure.
Yeah. And so that is the lone thing that I think that I could take away from this is because I hate, what happened. I hate that, that it is what looks like what it may be, indefinitely has cost us a relationship, a friendship. But, but I like the fact that I feel that loss.
Yeah.
That I'm not, cold-hearted to it and
right.
like, screw that guy.
Yeah, that's the wrong. I think that's the wrong response.
Because it hurts.
It hurts to let go. I think it does. Yeah.
Because when you genuinely care about somebody,
right.
It hurts. And so, and that's so I've been, I've been on that, but trying to chase that and nurture it, that wouldn't have been good either. So there needed to be at least a pause.
Yeah. Yeah.
My phone is blowing up.
I'm sorry. So that you said chase.
Yeah.
So something that came to mind, and I think about this in like context of pastors. So
speaking of, that's who just called me.
When we got involved with our church, it was smaller than it is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was, especially our lead pastor.
Yeah.
He probably had more time to interact.
Don't say lead pastor. I hate that.
Sorry. What is it? What is this?
Because I'm old. But that's the modern thing.
Our
lead
pastor.
I would say senior pastor.
Senior pastor.
But again, it's because I'm old. It's all the guys with the white tennis shoes.
Yeah.
And the sprayed on blue jeans.
Okay.
Our lead pastor. And glasses with no prescription.
I feel like there's something you might need to let go of here.
Yeah, it probably is.
So, anyways, no, what I was thinking though was like, it's, if you are a person who, so say you have a friend, who is, their career is taking them in a direction, and this is like even a pastor who's a pastor of a growing church, and his attention is going to be spread thin. And there has to be, I think, in a healthy, large-ish church, there will be layers of accessibility to the leadership.
Yes.
And sometimes you might not end up, even though you were at one point, you might not be inside the inner circle.
Yep. I'm sorry for sniffing right into the microphone.
And,
that would gross you
or
out.
inside the second inner circle. You may move to an outer and a further out. And I have learned over the years that giving leadership, especially at a church, the freedom to allow that evolution.
Yes.
And just not chase it down, not be like blowing up their phone, like, hey, we never get together anymore, like we used to. Like, you gotta give people the freedom to grow. This is gonna sound bad, to grow beyond you. Like, like it's not a bad thing, even if it really is just a proximity thing.
Do you need to close the shop door? Is there water blowing in?
Yeah, there is, but it's fine.
Okay,
it's fine. It's just your truck's getting wet, but both of your trucks. Ben's letting me borrow one of his trucks right now. So, anyways.
The family owns a spare currently.
Yeah. So, anyways, but I think that's another part of letting go. Is we think about letting go as in like we're moving to a new space and now we're letting go of this person as we move into this new space. But sometimes letting go looks like that person is moving into a new space and we're still here and we need to let go.
That's hard.
Like,
that's hard.
Let them fly.
I've heard a pastor. He is no longer. That's no longer his thing. But he was pastor of a very large church. But he told that story.
Yeah.
About they were good buddies, and they were available for one another all the time. He was in one place. He was in one place. He's like, I'm coming through town. but he couldn't even get him on the phone. He's like, "Don't you even have time for lunch?" He's like, "No, I don't."
I really don't. Yeah.
And it's like, how could you? But just things, things happen.
Yeah.
And that's I have been on the inside of the church world. It seems like connected to it for like 30 years, and I've been at churches where I didn't have any access to the pastor. I work directly around him, and we know one another, and I may have his like phone number. Okay, but that doesn't give me access.
Right.
I'm like, what time would you like to be here so we can do a line check on your microphone?
Right.
Something.
Yeah.
Or
and that's the way. Like if we if the assumption, or not the assumption, if the reality is that a typical man can maintain 3 close relationships.
Yeah.
And I was never that person to begin with for my pastor.
Right.
What makes me think that I'm going to be that person when the church gets bigger? It's like we got to let him go.
In that deal, it's like we want bragging rights. Oh, I'm buddies with.
But that's like not healthy.
Yeah, no.
So,
no. And again, I've seen it because I worked at a church. I worked for a church that was very small. And it became very large.
Yeah.
And the pastor and I used to have lunch together 3 times a week.
Right.
And then it was once a week directly before staff meeting, and then it was all right.
Yeah.
Once a month he would come to staff meeting, but just he was busy and needed to go see. No, nothing wrong with it. That's the progression.
Yeah.
If I was, we're 7 years into the thing, and now we're still able to have lunch 3 times a week. What are we doing? Because we ain't growing.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So yeah, you have to let go sometimes, and there's healthy ways.
Yep.
There's unhealthy ways, but it's a part of it. So, but it's just, whatever scenario you might find yourself in, if you're feeling gypped or jilted or, some other alliteration term that I didn't really intend when I started that, or justified, in your, in your feelings that, we're, so-and-so, we're not as close. You may not be, but maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it was your friendship that helped them get to where they are now, so that of the help they can bring to others. Let it be.
Yeah.
Let it be. You did your job. Ecclesiastes and the birds tell us that there's seasons for everything.
Yep.
Okay. Let it be. And so anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell you.
I think that's a good way to end it.
All right.
Because that's the next topic. So.
All right. Join us for part 3.
Part 3
of this 4-part series of letting stuff go, letting things go, letting it go,
letting go.
Go
ahead and play the Disney song.
Please. Even though we're not playing that song, join us here next time.
That's right.